Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm making my favorite no discard sourdough starter. No more worrying about tossing out starter or wasting ingredients. This starter is all you need to bake bread full of love and life, just like you. To begin, mix 20 grams of strong 100% wholemeal flour with 20 grams of filtered or bottled water in a clean glass jar. Then stir it well until fully combined. It'll be thick and a little sticky. Transfer the mixture into a glass jar and loosely cover the jar with the lid or a breathable cloth and mark the level with a tape or a rubber band so you can keep track of any rise. Then leave the jar at room temperature away from direct sunlight and let it rest for 24 hours. As you can see, the mixture isn't as thick as it was yesterday. You may notice a faint milky or fruity smell. You might see a bubble or two or none at all, and that's completely fine. So today we're giving the starter its first feed, and we won't be discarding anything. For this feed we'll use a blend of flours, 10 grams of wholemeal flour mixed with 10 grams of strong white unbleached bread flour, along with 15 grams of filtered or bottled water. This combination helps gradually transition the starter from wholemeal to white flour, which will fully transfer to by day 4. Mix everything together until smooth, loosely cover the jar, mark the new level and let it rest at room temperature for 24 hours. Today, you'll likely notice a few bubbles starting to appear, along with a faintly milky or fruity smell. Sometimes you might even see a sudden burst of bubbly activity that makes it look like your starter is ready, but only for it to go quiet again. Don't worry if this happens, it's completely normal. Just repeat yesterday's feeding. Add 10 grams of wholemeal flour and 10 grams of strong white unbleached bread flour mixed together, and then 15 grams of filtered or bottled water. Mix everything together until smooth. Loosely cover the jar and mark the new level and let it rest at room temperature, this time for 12 hours, as from tomorrow we will be feeding the starter twice a day. On day 4 morning, you might notice your starter rising again and giving off that faint milky or fruity aroma. But don't be fooled, it's still not quite ready. What's happening is that some of the early bacteria in the flour are active for a short period. As the starter ferments and the pH drops, these bacteria die off, making way for the beneficial microbes to take over. That's when real fermentation begins. Today, we're fully transitioning to white unbleached bread flour, which provides a more stable environment for a mature starter. Add 20 grams of white bread flour and 15 grams of filtered water and stir until smooth. Transfer the starter to a clean jar and loosely cover it. Mark the new level and let it rest at room temperature for another 12 hours. It's been 12 hours since we last fed our starter. You'll notice that the starter has risen, but it is still not ready, as it's just today that we have transitioned to a full feed of white bread flour. Simply continue feeding it with 20 grams of white bread flour and 15 grams of filtered water. Mix well and loosely cover with a lid. Mark the new level and let it rest for 12 hours again. We are on day 5 and today you'll notice that the starter has risen more than double and then fallen. This is completely normal and happens because we've transitioned to white bread flour. Now there's no need to worry. After a few feeds, your starter should start getting really bubbly and begin to rise and fall more reliably and predictably. But don't worry if yours isn't quite there yet. This process can be unpredictable. Just keep going and try to keep it in a slightly warmer spot, which will help it along. Again, continue feeding it with 20 grams of white bread flour and 15 grams of filtered or bottled water. Mix well and loosely cover with a lid and mark the new level and let it rest for 12 hours again. Now here you may notice the same rise and fall and also a slightly tangy smell. all good signs of fermentation. Continue feeding it with 20 grams of white bread flour and 15 grams of filtered or bottled water. Mix well, loosely cover the jar, mark the new level and let it rest for 12 hours. On day 6, you'll notice the same rise and fall. You'll also be able to smell a very fruity, tangy smell. This means it's almost ready. Maybe 2 more feeds and it should be ready completely. Continue feeding it with 20 grams of white bread flour and 15 grams of filtered or bottled water. Mix well, loosely cover the jar with a lid and mark the new level and let it rest for 12 hours again. Here you will notice that your sourdough starter has reliably doubled in size after feeding and looks really spongy, fluffy and bubbly like mine. This evening will be the second last feed and it should be completely ready after one more feed tomorrow morning. Continue feeding it with 20 grams of white bread flour and 15 grams of filtered or bottled water. Mix well, loosely cover the jar, mark the new level and leave it to rise for 12 hours. So we're on day 7 and as you can see, the starter has risen and fallen slightly and that's completely normal. It has a pleasantly yeasty, fruity aroma with a subtle tangy note. Today we'll feed it one last time and after this feeding it should rise beautifully within 5 to 6 hours. I'm also going to transfer the starter into a clean jar so we can clearly see how much it rises. Here's the last feed of the 7-day cycle. Continue feeding it with 20 grams of white bread flour and 15 grams of filtered or bottled water. Mix well and transfer to a clean jar. Loosely cover the jar, mark the new level and watch it rise in 5 to 6 hours. This is it. You've just made your very own sourdough starter without wasting a single gram of flour. As you can see, the starter has doubled in size, and this is just after 5 hours of feeding. It smells pleasantly tangy and has a light spongy texture. This starter is now ready to use in baking. If your starter is not quite there yet, just keep feeding it for a few more days. It's all part of the journey. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching and happy sourdough baking.